I thought I would talk about this. Trump versus Sanders, the economic plan. Now, I have two things I want to cover before I get into specifics. There's two key concepts. So, first of which is, the political spectrum. Most of you guys have seen this before in your classes in high school. Fascism is pretty much like no taxes. It's like World War II Germany. No taxes, go fend for yourself. It's like social Darwinism. There's no net if you cannot feed yourself, and there's no welfare. There's nothing like that. So this is kind of like Hitler. Communism over here is, higher tax rates. It's like Cuba. It's like Cuba is right now. It's high tax rates. Everyone gets paid pretty much the same amount. Doctors in Cuba make $67 a month, and normal workers, and the average worker in Cuba makes $23 a month. Quite outstanding, by the way. But the thing is, they get free health care, free education, they have food rations every week. It is pretty bad. Like, they have a very low standard of living, but saying that everyone gets a lot of free stuff. But it's still, both of which are bad. Both communism and fascism are bad. And so normally, in the USA, you got over here, very close to neutral, you have conservatives, right? You have conservatives. And so that's generally where most Republicans are, right? That's where George W. Bush was. And then, over here we got, the Democrats, the liberals, I guess I'll call them. And so as you can see, they're pretty close to neutral. No matter which party you vote in, it's relatively going to be a very similar country. But this time, in this election, we have two guys that are a little more on the extreme end of both of those. So Bernie Sanders, he's, called the socialist, right? And so I would consider him being like somewhere like over here. He's kind of like somewhere over here. So we're going to B for Bernie. And we'll call this O for Obama. Because that's kind of where Obama is. And then over here we have, G for George W. And then we kind of got like Donald Trump over here. And so even though they're nowhere close to fascism or communism on either end, I just think that they're a little more interesting because they are kind of like, they're a little bit on the more extreme ends of both parties than we're used to seeing. We haven't seen, a guy like Donald Trump since maybe Ronald Reagan. Maybe? I don't know. Anyways, so I just thought I'd mention that because people think that Bernie Sanders is a complete socialist, communist, and wants to run the country into the ground. And Donald Trump, everyone thinks that he's like the next Hitler because he's charismatic and only wants pure Americans and stuff like that. So no matter what happens, it's just, I don't know. I think that this is the one election where we might have a completely different country if one of those two guys gets in. Now, saying that Clinton can still get in, Cruz, I think Jeb Bush just bowed out, right? Whatever the guy's name, Rubio. All those people are still up for it, right? Marco Rubio, is that his name? But these are just the two most interesting because Clinton's going to be the same if she gets voted in relatively. And any of the other Republicans are going to, I don't know, we're going to go back to the George Bush days, right? So, so I'm going to talk about these guys, Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders.